Alex Caruso is on his way to the OKC Thunder in exchange for Josh Giddey. What does this do for the Chicago Bulls roster going forward? Are more moves coming? Me and Pat going to break it all down and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host creator of Chicago Bulls Central, Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And Pat, little did we know that it was going to go down today on a Thursday at, about 5 p.m. Chicago time. Alex Caruso is on his way to the OKC Thunder in exchange for Josh Giddey. As of right now, it does not look like any draft compensation is as part of the deal. It could be announced later, but all the reports that we're hearing so far is Giddey for Alex Caruso straight up. We'll break down where the fit is with the team and everything. I want to focus just on the trade itself right now, Pat. How do you feel about the trade?
Listen, I like the trade. I understand that people are looking for draft compensation. I understand people wanted more back for Alex Caruso, but you have to understand what you're getting. The draft compensation you would have gotten would have been for the draft this season. You just traded for a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
He is a very, very young player. He still has a ton of room to grow in this NBA. And I think realistically speaking, right, when you're sitting there talking about what Josh Giddey meant to the Oklahoma City Thunder, he kind of got into this spot where it was like, dog, like, we kind of need you, but like not really, because you can't shoot the ball well enough. We're not putting the ball in your hands because Shai's standing over there. Yeah. Shai's getting the ball. We're not giving you the ball. So to me, I do think that this is kind of like, even if without the draft compensation, you're trading a young or a 30-year-old player who's gonna 110% be perfect for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's talk about that as well, right? I think Alex Caruso fits in phenomenally with them. I think he's going to be an amazing asset for them. I think that Thunder defense next season is going to be ridiculous. But now you put Kobe White in more of a two-guard role to me, and you bring in Josh Giddey, who is a 21-year-old point guard, who is a legit point guard at 6'8". I don't know if people remember how big this mug is, but at 6'8", you kind of got your, I would say, less athletic Lonzo Ball replacement. But this is the kind of guy that I think you bring to the team that gives you an instant value the second he hits the court next season. I don't think that this is a terrible trade. I think this is a great trade going both ways. I know a lot of people are upset at the fact that Alex Caruso was the one that ends up getting traded for this, and they felt like you were getting more. But when you can go out and get a 21-year-old player for a 30-year-old player, you kind of got to make a move like that.
And the thing that I want to point out to this as well, and I this is just to put it in perspective. I know people are like, well, what about we could have got a top 10 pick? What about number 3 with Houston? Let me be clear here. We've seen Josh Giddey in the NBA, and it reminds a lot of their reaction to it reminds me of how people were talking about Kobe 2 years ago. Shout out to Kid who's in the building on you should have traded Kobe White. Josh Giddey's been on a team where his role has been I know Kid heard me where his role
he hear you
where his role has been very, very focused on being complimentary to Shai. Now, on top of that, if Josh Giddey was in this draft, Josh Giddey's going number 3.
Yeah.
He's top 5 at the minimum. So
I think this gives you more of a direction too, right? I think this is like the one thing that I love about this is now we know where we're going in the draft. We're either going wing or we're going center. We got our point guard.
I tell you this, you just traded for Josh Giddey. I better not hear nothing about no character concerns when it comes to Terrence Shannon Jr. is all I'm saying with this. At this point, I
wasn't gonna bring that up now.
My whole thing of I've been saying AK doesn't go after guys with character concerns. AK doesn't do this. AK doesn't do that. Now, hell, Miles Bridges and Terrence Shannon Jr. may be back on the table.
And listen, here's my only thing, right? You traded for Josh Giddey. Could we have not have waited at least one more day until after the Kendrick Lamar concert?
It would have been worse if it was down on the day of the Kendrick Lamar.
I mean, listen, he played They Not Like Us 5 times in a row, bro. Like
6 times.
6 times in a row. You know what I mean? You could have you could have let that breathe a little bit more before making that trade. I mean,
First of all, I doubt that even Mark Eversley knows who Kendrick Lamar is. Mark Eversley strikes me as somebody who Taylor Swift is heavily on his playlist, bro. I'm just saying.
I mean, listen, I feel like Eversley got a little Kendrick on there. I feel like he's one of those dudes that brings up old school rappers way too much. He's like Joe. That brings up old school rappers way too much into the conversation.
First of all, just because they arch their eyebrows does not mean that they both listen to the same type of music. Mark Eversley absolutely does not. He may have some kids. I guarantee you doesn't know who they are. He'd be like, oh, that's that short California fellow. Oh, yeah. Kendrick Lamar, is that what you guys call him? That's definitely what it is.
He calls him Kendrick Lamar.
Lamar.
He doesn't know the real pronunciation. No, but I think here's my thing, right? To get back onto the Josh Giddey trade itself. I think that this sets a clear direction for the Chicago Bulls moving forward.
Getting younger.
I think that this is something where you finally got an answer, right? We've been talking about getting answers for the team. Okay, in your starting lineup, what are your answers? Was Alex Caruso an answer? Yeah. Was he a long-term answer? Probably not, because you didn't know if you were going to be able to re-sign him or not if he wanted to be here. Is Josh Giddey a long-term answer? Heck yeah, 21 years old. You got to get a deal done for him, got to work something out so that you can get him, restructured moving forward or get him signed long-term moving forward. But I think that Josh Giddey is a long-term answer and one that fits what this team is trying to do for the future and fits the timeline of this team. Again, Kobe White, not old. Does this open things up for Patrick Williams again, right? Like now you're starting to see some dominoes actually start to fall down. And to me, what I would say is the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, and people were saying that this is a bad trade. I'm sorry. It may not be a home run trade. This is not a bad trade. To get a 21-year-old for a 30-year-old that still has tremendous upside. And here's the thing on this as well. And I said this over on Chicago Bulls Central when I talked about it. Keep in mind, Josh Giddey is a restricted free agent at the end of this season. If he doesn't work out, you can let him go. And guess what? If Josh Giddey is as bad as some of you guys say, like I've been saying, my master plan is that increases the chances of keeping your 2025 pick. Not all trades are made to be linear to get you better. Some trades you have to take a step back to eventually get better going forward. And that is probably what this trade is as well. Giddey plus the number 6. We do know they're getting Giddey plus the number 6. Now that changes everything.
That
changes everything.
Let me get over here on Woj now. That's a huge get. If it's Josh Giddey plus the number 6 pick, Adrian Wojnarowski. Come on.
Woj hasn't tweeted it.
Woj hasn't tweeted anything yet. Okay, now I'm skeptical on this. Let me see.
Yeah, we'll wait to confirm that to see if we get it. But if it is, that changes that. Wait, do the Thunder even have the number 6 pick?
I was gonna say I don't think OKC has 6. You got very excited on that.
I just read it and got excited because that would change everything.
Don't the Thunder have the 12th pick?
Yeah, the Thunder don't have the number 6 pick. The Charlotte Hornets have it, unless it's turning into a 3-team trade.
That'd be interesting. Number 6 belongs to Charlotte. Yeah, I was sitting there. Yeah. I'm like, nah, hold on now.
Y'all be capping in here. I got excited, bro.
You got to, you can. The only person you can look at in the comments
is Baki. You're right. My fault. That's my fault.
You got bamboozled out here.
That's my fault. That's my fault.
Bamboozled out here, my boy. You got done up by the NBA Centel.
I read it. I got excited. Plus, the Thunder have number 12. I read it. I got a little excited. It is what it is.
You got done up by the old Adrian Wojnarowski page. You know what I mean? But no, I think that even without the pick, right? Like, I know everybody wants the pick. You want a draft cap. You want to get the number 12 pick. You want to get more out of that. Again, I do agree that maybe there's more that could have been gotten here, but let's not sit here and pretend like this is a move that puts the Bulls going the wrong direction. I don't think that this does. I think that this is a trade that actually moves the Bulls in the right direction. I think this is a trade that makes your offense look more cohesive.
Yeah,
I think this is a trade that fits what Billy Donovan, who's not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, actually wants to run.
Yeah,
that's what this does for you. It starts to what's the right way to say it? It starts to clear some of the fog that's been around this Bulls team for 2.5 years since Lonzo Ball went down.
Yeah. That's a fact. And, it is what it is. Like I said, this isn't a bad trade. Is it a home run trade? No. But I told you guys on several episodes here and on Central, It's not, you weren't going to get home run trades in this draft. This is an offseason where it's about adding clarity for the future. It's y'all saying that, oh, well, we didn't get a home run. Like, y'all want to stay, y'all want Jerry Reinsdorf and sold y'all. It's all I can say on that. That and the people that say draft Bronny to get LeBron, Jerry Reinsdorf has indoctrinated y'all, and y'all got to stop. Y'all got to stop.
I love who was it? Was it Bill Simmons? He said the Celtics should draft Bronny and hold him hostage for the Lakers. Yeah. I was dying laughing at that, bro. Like, oh, we'll trade him to you. Come on, give us what we want.
That is hilarious, man. But next up, we're going to be talking about where does Giddey fit on this roster going forward, as the Bulls are actually, Pat's been one of the people. Hey, the Bulls ain't going to do nothing. They have showed us. Now we said they got to show us. They're showing us a little something on this. But next up, we're going to be talking about where does Josh Giddey fit. But next up, we got to talk to you guys about a message from one of our.
Different way to say that, bro.
What did I say? What does Josh Giddey? That's crazy. How does the roster look now after acquiring Josh Giddey? With that said, y'all, that is crazy. I got to talk to you guys about a message from our sponsor, and that is Gametime. Gametime makes getting NBA Finals tickets even faster and easier, because if you're getting Finals tickets at this point, I think, whatever. Prices on Gametime app actually go down closer to tip-off. Killer last-minute deals. Hey, listen, I got Game 7 tickets for y'all right now. All-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Priority last minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last minute sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. Save even more when you choose a section and let Gametime choose the seats. Toggling all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Gametime ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA Finals tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. All right, Pat. With that said, man, yeah. How do we see this roster now with what we know so far? A lot of other changes could come. Do you see Josh Giddey as the point guard next to Kobe White? Do you think that maybe they share ball handling duties similar to what he did with Ayo Dosunmu, who Josh Giddey maybe can be a little bit better at that? Like, how do you feel with Josh Giddey now being? I think
Josh Giddey becomes your primary point guard, which is fine, right? I think that puts you in like I said, it gives you more of a direction. I think you set Kobe White as your 2. But what that means is he's still a 2 that will handle the basketball a lot, right? It doesn't have to be a completely different situation from what happened in OKC, right? Because Josh Giddey coming here being a 12 to 15 point per game guy, if you get the assist numbers back up to 6 to 8 assists per game, that opens up a lot for Kobe White. Also, right, it allows him to be a catch and shoot type of player. It allows him to expand his game. I think we all believe that Kobe White as a ball handler is fine, especially with how he's improved his handle, which means that if you put the ball in his hands, there's still going to be those moments where you have to have him, hey, you got to be able to go out there and get a bucket. We need a bucket right now. He's still going to have a lot of those moments being a combo guard. So I'm fine with Kobe White being the 2 on this team. I think what changes most is now if we see some other changes coming, right? Like, does this now open up an opportunity for Patrick Williams to play the 3 and or keep him at the 4? Does this open up an opportunity for P. Will to become a better player? Because this to me is now we're moving in a direction with our young players movement, right? That's what this is for me. That's why this move excites me. This does not feel like a move where it's like we're bringing back Zach LaVine, we're bringing back Nikola Vucevic, or we're not out on moving Nikola Vucevic, but we're running with the old unit again. This feels like more changes have to come for this deal to make sense. And so if you're running out there with the young guys, right, does this open things up more for those players to be able to find their way in this offense and set their own tone in this offense? We remember when Zach LaVine got out of the way for Kobe White, he flourished. When Zach came back, we kind of started to see those numbers go back the other direction, right? He wasn't the same Kobe that we wanted to see. Now, this to me says, we're all in on the young guys. We're letting Kobe White flourish. Why not let that happen for some of the other guys that are on this team as well?
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, the reaction to Josh Giddey from a portion of the fan base kind of reminds me of when everybody was saying that Kobe White needed to be traded, right? He was nothing. He wasn't going to fit on this team, whatever else it was. Like, I'm sorry, me and Pat have gone back and forth on this. I'm not somebody who's ever ready to call somebody a bust while they're 21 years old. I'm just not. Like, yeah, and he's, especially him being on the team that, like, he wasn't the man. He had to fit in. It was built around Shea, and then when Chet came back, his shots went down even further. So, like, I'm not saying that Josh Giddey is going to be the end-all, be-all, or even to be this great player, but at the end of the day, Alex Caruso was an expiring deal, and he was a player that unfortunately hasn't typically been able to stay healthy. And when you look at those things, keeping Alex Caruso, while I would have loved Alex Caruso to be one of those players that stay with the Bulls for a long time, maybe, just maybe, the writing was already on the wall with Alex Caruso not wanting to be and going to compete. He gets to go compete with the title, with the team now that is competing for a title. He's going to have a clear, defined role on that team as well, and he's going to be surrounded by young pieces that maybe he can stay a little bit healthier. We'll see. But his mentorship, all that is going to be needed on that OKC Thunder team. If the Bulls were a team that was even flirted like they look like they can make it in or out of the second round, things would change on that. With how far the Bulls are right now, unfortunately, it becomes a luxury for that type of player. It's just the reality of basketball.
Well, and I think here's the other thing too, right? You're trying to, what is this a trade to do? You're trying to replace Lonzo Ball. That's what this is. Like, let's not cap with it. AK saw an opportunity to replace the thing that worked in that he wanted to work initially. Lonzo Ball, when he went down, 13-5-5. Josh Giddey right now, 12-6-4. He had been a 12-6 or a 16-6-6 guy. But of course, with Shea's emergence and him having the ball in his hands more, you saw a lot less from Josh Giddey this year. Does it replace him defensively? Absolutely not. Josh Giddey is nowhere near the defender that Lonzo Ball is. But offensively, I think that this puts the Bulls back into that offense that can run and gun, that offense that can run the floor, that offense that can move in the right direction. That's going to work in the favor of all of the young pieces, like you talked about with P. Will, right? Like P. Will on the run is going to be phenomenal. Like when he's running straight line speed, it's terrifying because it's like, oh my God, he's like.
And also, let's not overlook this at all. And it's talking about getting younger. And again, this is not to say that I didn't want Caruso here. Me and Pat have talked about this. But now that you're moving Ayo Dosunmu back to the bench, I'm sorry, but Ayo Dosunmu can do just about everything that Alex Caruso can with a higher offensive upside. And you're doing it at younger.
I don't disagree with that. You know what I mean? Like I think that is that's a great point to bring out. That is because to me what Alex Caruso did is just more, he locked in more, right? When he was off the bench, whatever the Bulls needed. That's the thing about AC that was phenomenal.
Whatever you need him to do.
He was able to adapt his game to. Ayo Dosunmu, right? If he goes to the bench and they say, we need you to be more of a defensive guard this year. We need you to be Alex Caruso. We need you to lock up. Ayo can do that. He's got a freaking, what's his wingspan? He's 6'6" with a 7'1" wingspan. Like, he's got a ridiculous wingspan. He's a phenomenal defender. If they come into this season and say, hey, we need you to shoot the ball more. We need you to knock down the three. We need you coming off of the bench taking 6 threes a game. He can do that. If it's we need you to come off of the bench and you're running the offense and you're just setting everybody. He can do that. Like, that's a great point as well, that you not only got younger at the point guard position in the starting lineup, but you also got younger at that Alex Caruso role. Now, do I think that Caruso's probably a little bit better than Ayo is?
Right, he should be. He's a veteran. Sure. Yeah,
but he's been in the league longer, right? He's more accomplished. He's done more with his time there.
He's won a ring. He's been on the championship winning team.
Yeah. So that to me, that is the biggest difference that I think you see in Ayo Dosunmu and Alex Caruso. But I love that point. Like, I think that when you look at this Bulls team now, and when you look at kind of how everybody starts to fit in, Ayo Dosunmu to me going and becoming your point guard off of the bench, your 6th man off of the bench. How does he work with the guys off the bench? How does he get all of them involved? Right now, you got to finish filling out this bench again. But now the biggest part about this is we don't have to see Leroy Carter. We never have to see him hit the floor again unless it's like in crunch time or not in crunch time, in garbage.
We should have made them take Leroy. We should have really made them take Leroy.
Nobody's taking Leroy, bro. Nobody's taking Leroy. Yes. Just off of the fact that he probably cuts his hair bald, but he's not really balding. Yeah, I mean, he looks like that kind of guy. Like he thought bald was a look.
That's crazy. That's crazy. What, Reginald? What? Stop doing fentanyl. We just got younger. You're talking about trading an 11th pick in Javon Carter for Bobby Portis for a team that's getting younger?
How we got in this situation? That's how we got here.
Leave the fit alone, my boy. Go ahead, man.
Hey, he said it's fancy over here, man. Hey, man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Are there more changes coming to this Chicago Bulls team? We got to talk about that right after this. But first, we got to tell you guys all about PrizePicks. Listen, PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy app right now, and it's so easy to go out there and play. You're playing daily fantasy every day. All you're doing is picking more or less on your favorite players' stats and number predictions, especially with the WNBA coming up. Bet all more for Angel Reese, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not betting more on Angel Reese, you are losing out on money because she has been cooking right now. 7th double-double in a row. Record. Gotta love what we're seeing out of Angel Reese right now. You're getting the player types. You're getting the stats. All you're doing is picking based on their projections. And they got some fun ones on there as well, right? Caitlin Clark, more than 3.5 3-pointers made in a half. Kyle Schwarber for more than 9-hitter fantasy score, and Bryce Miller for more than 4 pitcher strikeouts. So you get to have a little bit of fun on there as well with some fun prop deals on top of that. All you got to do right now is go download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That code is LOCKEDONNBA for on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
As y'all can see, we're actually doing our ad reads the way that we're supposed to have done it for a while. Like
he's one like that ever.
Yeah, we're supposed to be running that graphic for probably about 6 months now.
6 months. That graphic's been here for like a year, my boy.
That's crazy. That shows you how much they like us here around Locked On, because we just do what we want sometimes. But with that said, Pat, before we get up out of here, bro, are more changes coming? Has this renewed your faith that this actually is going to be an offseason where the Bulls are making moves?
I think you have to. I don't think the Josh Giddey deal works with DeMar DeRozan and Zach. Maybe Zach LaVine, but I think that relationship's probably too far gone, right? Nikola Vucevic, like that's somebody that I'm also looking at as well. I don't know how you would move Vooch, but that would be somebody I'd be looking at as well. I don't understand how this works if you bring back pieces from that previous core, right? He's a 21-year-old player. You let him figure it out with his new teammates. Let's not keep trying to run this back. And I love having DeMar on the floor as a scorer, but realistically speaking, if DeMar's on the floor, the ball's not in Josh Giddey's hands.
Yeah.
I want the ball in Josh Giddey's hands. You brought him here for a reason. You traded Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey for a reason. Put the ball in Josh Giddey's hands. Let him run the floor. Let him facilitate things. And then you find a way. And then, right, you add your pieces around that. It's not to say I don't think DeMar's a good player. Heck, find somebody who's willing to take him in a sign and trade so that he can get the most money and you can move him.
Yeah, I think with this move and going to a 21-year-old, 3-year NBA pro at this point, that this seems like it's going the direction of getting younger. Doesn't mean that it will. The Bulls are very confusing front office. For all we know, that Bobby Portis trade could be the next trade. We don't know, right? But the fact that there are no draft picks in this as well is, hey, I don't know. I don't know, but I do think that we are going to see significant change. Already losing Alex Caruso, we know the Bulls are actively shopping Zach LaVine, and it came out today that as many as 15 teams they've talked to. So I think that is going to happen for sure, and we'll see what happens based off that. But I do think that things are actually changing around here. Is it changing for the best or for the worse? We'll see.
Does this make that Kings trade a little bit more interesting for you, where you get back a player like Kevin Huerter in that? Because you add the shooting to a team that needs the shooting, really. Like Josh Giddey doesn't add to the shooting. He just does.
No.
Facilitate.
I don't know, because to me, like the Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes trade was a trade that if you're still trying to compete, and I don't know if you're still trying to compete for play-in spots, or if it's hey, we're going to have a lot of young guys. They're going to play an exciting brand of basketball. If we win games, we win games. If we lose them, cool. We keep our top 10 pick next year. I don't know if I really don't know which route we're going right now.
Yeah.
So
We'll see. There's going to be some interesting trades on the board. And the Zach LaVine one is one to me that's imminent, right? When you've talked to 15 teams, that means you don't plan on keeping this guy.
Exactly. That's basically saying somebody, please.
Now, here's another question that I thought of when looking at changes that could come. Let's say DeMar DeRozan, Bulls don't want to let DeMar DeRozan go for anything. They sign him to the contract that me and you really do not want to see him sign to, but they sign him to the contract. Do you think that DeMar DeRozan would, while getting the money, take a role change that allows younger players to be a part of what they're trying to do, becoming more of that guy who's coming off of the bench?
Yeah, because I think we've seen that with him at times last season. We saw games where DeMar literally basically facilitated, picked some spots until like halfway through the third and then fourth quarter. We saw him do a little bit of that. So I do think that if you, whatever it is that DeMar wants, whether it's the money, whether it's the years, the certainty, we don't know. But if the Bulls do decide to give him that, which again, I have my own issues if that's what they do, but if they do decide to give him that, I think DeMar will be willing to take a role.
See, because that to me, right, DeMar DeRozan coming off of the bench,
I don't know about that. Now, I don't know if he's willing to come off the bench.
Well, what I mean by that is, right, you hear your name in the starting lineup, you're out there for a minute, we immediately make a change, right? Like where your role changes that you're not playing as many minutes, but you're out there in the crunch time moments, you're out there in the money moments, right? You're out there in the fourth quarter at the end of the game. But for more of the game, we're seeing some of the other guys go out there, because I think in that scenario, you're developing players while still having an assassin on your team. He is still an offensive assassin. Don't make no mistake about it. But you know, when he's out there, you have to put the ball in his hands. He's got to go to the bucket. He's gonna be the guy that's slowing the game down. That's just who he is at this point.
Yeah. It is what it is. We'll see what happens, bro. We will see what happens, man.
I'm surprised at how upset most of Bulls Nation is by this trade. I really
am too. Like, I really am. But it goes back to, like I said, I knew no matter what we do, Bulls fans are going to initially be mad at it. But I also think that Bulls fans want both things. They want this team to not have the players that they don't want to have, and then they somehow want us to get better at the same time. I'm sorry, people, with the way that Nikola Vucevic isn't completely washed, but Vooch, Zach, DeMar, Alex Caruso, I hate to tell you guys this, but if you move those pieces, you're going to get worse. And where the Bulls were, they weren't negotiating from a point of power. You weren't going to get significant change and get wins on top of that. It'd be different if we had players that were all-stars and under long-term contracts and in their prime. Every piece that we get right now, except Alex Caruso, is a player that is literally on a decline in some type of way.
Yeah. At least in this scenario, you have an opportunity to bring in a young player who, to me, is moving in the right direction. So I'm not mad at this trade. I think this is going to be a good.
And people still saying the kid thing. Like, I get it. I make my jokes too, but y'all do know that literally came out that her and Josh Giddey were basically the same exact age, right? Like,
also,
she was 19.
Also, if we're ending the show on this, legal consent age is not the same in the country. It is not a federal.
Oh, well, I'm not getting into that. That's
no. I'm not saying you messing with it, but the legal consent age in Oklahoma City is 17, I believe. So for that state, which is wild,
that's wild, bro.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
That is the legal consent age, I believe.
Wow. Okay. Well.
Still wild though, dog.
It's still wild, bro. Bro. I don't know if that made it better.
I will say this: Josh Giddey was 19 and the girl was 17. We all seen them weirdos in high school, right? We all saw those weird dudes in high school.
That's crazy.
Oh, hey, it is what it is. Still wild, dog. Giddey, you gotta relax, bro. You gonna take these jokes too. They gonna be there all year. You score under 18, we own you.
We gotta get out of it. Get your social media. Let's get up out of here, bro.
Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love.
That's crazy. You guys can follow me at CEO Haize. You can follow us collectively at Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube and the Odyssey app and Amazon Fire TV. Make sure you guys check us out, man. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Yeah, baby.
That's crazy, Pat.
I didn't play that.
Who did that?
That's Joel. That's
Joel,
Joel.
stop it.
He's
Stop it.
wilding right now.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah, baby. Wow.
He a fan. 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 He a.
Oh, you think Josh Giddey changed his number to 69?
Oh wow.
Oh man, that's funny.